an experience where I had a vision of Jesus. Now, I came from a Catholic family, but I definitely would not call ourselves like extreme, like religious, definitely like believers in God and stuff. But I had a vision of Jesus in my bedroom, and he was standing. I just get chills thinking of it, but he was standing to the left. And I guess it was kind of similar to a painting in the sense of the way he was standing. He had his arms out. And I get chills every time I tell the story, but he had his arms open and he was off. He wasn't right in front of me. He was to the left. And I'm looking, and this is the strange thing when you have visions. And I don't know if other people have this gift, but I obviously, had somewhat of a gift ever since I was little. But in this particular moment, I was 11 and I saw him off to the side, and he said to me, but I could hear him, but his lips weren't moving. It was more of a telepathic, but not thought. It was actual. I could hear him. And he said to me, and he was very beautiful, and glowing. I don't think would be the exact description of what you think Jesus would be, but he definitely was Jesus because they come with their energy. So you know who it is. And he was wearing a white gown, and he had his arms open. And he said the strangest thing to me. He said, you will die on Sunday, but don't worry, you will be okay. And he put his arms open. And I was freaked out. And the arms open, he didn't verbalize this, but I felt like he wanted me to go and like hug him. And I didn't. I was scared. So I was young, and I said, I don't want to die. And he was just standing there, and he said it only once, but he stood there until he faded away. Well, I didn't want to hear that. And he said it in a very loving way, but it was kind of a strange thing for him to say. And I remember because the Sunday that was coming up, I literally was on the phone with my friend until midnight, Sunday night, until it was Monday, because I was afraid I was going to die. So it was really kind of like a jolting message to me. So I didn't die that Sunday, and I didn't put this together until later on in that year. My father was working on this deck, and we were all sitting on it, but he was 90% done, except that he didn't put the spokes. And we were two stories up. And he didn't put the wood spokes yet, but everyone wanted to sit and enjoy it. So I went around the table, and there were plastic chairs, those old plastic chairs. So I went along the table, and I went to sit down next to my sister. I didn't realize that the back legs were off. They're basically off the deck, or just like a smidgen, where it looked like it was solid. And as I was sitting down, I heard my sister say, Julia, don't sit. But it was too late. I went down, and because there were no spokes in the deck, the chair tipped backwards. Everything went into slow motion. The last thing I saw was my other sister, and she was way up on another level, and she was waving, but she didn't realize what was happening. And everything changed from that moment. You hear about different realities, and if you're on the spiritual journey, maybe you've done some research about parallel realities and things like this. The moment I sat down, I was out. So mind you, I was gone. I don't know if I fainted or what, but I was gone for a while. And what seemed like seconds for my family, I went somewhere else, and I fell face down on it. There was cement. It wasn't grass or anything. It was a huge, huge fall. And I didn't have a scratch on me, nothing. And I don't remember even hitting the ground because I left. Before I sat down, I tipped backwards. I saw my sister. I went to another I was lifted out of my body. And I said it after this whole thing happened immediately to my parents. I said, I went somewhere, and I was very disoriented when I came back because I left my body. So what happened was I was pulled out of my body into this beautiful, immense feeling of love. And it was extremely, it was like amnesia was lifted. It was like, I was like, oh, I remember now. I'm trying to put in words. It was like a flood of knowing came to me. And I realized that this experience here in this life, this specific life that you're living, is like a drop in the ocean, a grain of sand. There was this immense knowing of, oh, like, how could I have forgotten? Oh, this is just, if you can, I also like to describe it like, think of all the thoughts you have in your life, right? Millions of thoughts. You can't even keep track. This one particular life that you're focused on right now was like one thought, like one thought. That's how immense knowing I had. So I went to this place, and I don't remember all the details, but I would say I felt like I was gone for hours. And I hope that in meditation I can learn even more. But I will tell you what happened in that experience. I left my body and I went into this unconditional loving space. When I was about to have to go back into my physical body, all of a sudden I'm looking at my body, and I know that this loving energy is existing behind me. And I honestly can feel the love, like God's love, angels, I feel them behind me. But I knew, and this is the important part, try not to get emotional, but I knew that like if I like turned to the light, which was very, very tempting to do. When I say tempting, it's like more tempting than anything you have ever felt. It was a draw, a pull, because the love was so pure and unconditional, and not even love, but it was like your home, your real home. So to not turn and surrender to that all is well loving energy, it was hard. But, and this was my soul journey, obviously, I'm looking at my body, and now I'm way up. So my body's actually pretty small at this point. And I'm looking up, and because what I understand on my spiritual journey now at my age is that we have purpose, and when it's not your time, it's not your time. So I'm looking at my body, and the weirdest thing was I was repeating over and over. And mind you, I'm 11 years old, okay? And I was looking at my body, not going to turn around, even though I loved the energy. My soul knew that my work wasn't done. I was keeping a contact with my body, with my physical, with my eyes. I was looking at my body, and I knew if I turned away from looking at my body, that would be it. I wouldn't be able to resist it. It's not like something's going to snatch me and force me from, it was my own self that wouldn't come back, because I knew that was just too much love to resist. So I was staring at my body, and I kept saying, at 11 years old, I kept saying, I'm not done with them yet. I'm not done with them yet. I'm not done with them yet. So I was talking about my family. At 11 years old, I knew that my purpose in their life wasn't over yet. And that was what I was saying over and over and over. And I kept saying it and focusing on my body until I went all the way back into my body, but I had to stay super focused. And so it felt very jarring to go from this space back into a very dense physical form. And the visual that I want to give you is like, you ever see like a fish flopping out of water? Like it felt like, oh, like I was so like, oh God, like out of my element, because I went from this body, light, bodiless spirit to being condensed, all my light. So we are not a physical body. We are this immense energy. So to go from this immense energy and go down into a small physical form, it was just reminding me of like a fish flopping out of water, like uncomfortable. It was a big, like, like hard. I don't know why I use that analogy, but that's what I always see. And so I knew that I had to be there. So I had to force myself back in there. But the moment I opened my eyes, I see my family rushing to me, and my mom was screaming, I can't look at her. I'm not going to, because she assumed I was dead or my brains were, blown. I mean, I should have had a cracked skull. And she's like, I can't look at her. I can't, oh God, run. And that's my dad. And I was calling my dad Daddy, which I thought was interesting because I never called him Daddy in my life. But in that moment, I said, Daddy, I went somewhere. I said, I went somewhere. I was gone for a long time. There is more that I experienced, but I have to realize that what I do remember was the key of what I felt later in my journey that I had to share with others. And that is, there's no death. There is transition. And this experience, I just hope I can say these words, and this experience is beautiful. And I don't want to take away the importance of everything that's happening, because it is all important. But at the same time of it being super important, it's super minute. It's super very little compared to who you are, what you know, and what you are a part of. You are part of this huge, immense, universal, loving energy that is who you are. And this idea of death, the word death, the idea behind it is 100% coming from a human standpoint, a human perspective. There's no such thing as death. I know it. It's ironic because really, it's almost as if you wake up when you die. You have this, whoa, oh my God. If you imagine someone coming out of a coma and be like, oh, I remember who I am and stuff, that is what it's like. So to die is to wake up. And I realized what a blessing this was for me, because I know that there's no such thing as death. So it allows me to live my life fully, enjoy this physical experience, because it is a blessing to journey here on earth in this physical reality. I personally feel we're healing a planet, we're healing each other, we're healing Mother Earth. We're here to make a difference. But is this the all in all? Is this everything? 1000%? No, it's not. It's not. Are we here to remember that we are one? Are we here to remember that love is the answer? That the love that resides within me is the love that resides within you, and what connects all of us? Yes. I know that the light that I felt behind me, pulling me back to become one with it, I know that light is within me still in a physical form, and it's within all of you. And so now what we have to do is find a balance between having this physical experience and being our divine, loving God, extension of God light. And that is, I feel, what will serve us best as we journey here. If we can stay in balance. We do need to be in this physical world and do physical things that sometimes are uncomfortable. But if we can do it in balance with our light, everything will flow. And it is our light that connects each of us together. And right now we're going through some dense stuff. So I think it's pretty amazing, if you think about this, that we all have called forth this experience at this specific time on earth to be together, to heal. It's just, to me, I know there's a lot of sadness, and I'm not disrespecting all that's going on, but at the same time, we have to recognize this is beautiful and this is divine. And the fact that we are all here journeying together at this very crucial time, I don't think we should take that for granted, or should we let it pass us by. I think that we are all here for a reason. So we all have the knowledge, the power, and mostly the love to get each other through this. It's why we're here, basically. We're here for this, and we're equipped. And the reason why we're equipped is because that light that was pulling me back home is within me and within all of you. And when it is our time to transition from the physical world back to our home of all loving, endless energy, in which who you truly are, you will feel the peace. You're going to have that moment. You're going to unite with your loved ones because we're all in that loving space. But another thing that's so wonderful about this is when I had that experience, I realized all the ones that I love that have passed, they didn't die. They're in that space. And because their energy is endless, I can feel them. I can sit and I can feel them. And if you've been on the spiritual journey and you've learned about vibration, sometimes you just got to sit and shift your vibration to your light, and you will feel them. You will feel them with you. I know sometimes it takes practice, but I just want to say that if there's one takeaway, it would be that we are endless. There is no such thing as death. Your loved ones are in a beautiful space. You can connect to them. You can feel them. They are with you. They're rooting you on. They're your cheerleaders. You know, they've finished their journey here. Everything is a soul journey. That's another thing I want to mention is my soul wasn't done yet. But if it was ready, if it was done, I promise you, I would have no issue surrendering to what I felt. Absolutely not. And I know when I close my eyes, I'm actually gifted with them being able to show me what was behind them. And I saw, and I can see it right now when I close my eyes, a huge angel was right here, an angelic being. And wow, I'm actually just having this realization in this moment that was probably my angel that's journeyed with me my entire life. Yeah, I mean, I'm just having that realization. And every time I close my eyes, I actually go back to that moment and there that angelic being was. So my soul purpose was to have that experience. And I think it's an obligation and a responsibility to bring it back to whoever is ready to receive it. So I just am so grateful to have had it, not just to share, but I realize when I do work with a lot of people who struggle with this fear of death. And because of their fear of death, it's unfortunate, but they don't live, because you can only live when you are in the now. Breathe it in, guys. Like, take a moment right now. If you breathe this now in and just feel the presence of all of us together, we're all connected, and feel the presence of being here on Mother Earth for a specific purpose. Just all is well. You don't have to go anywhere other than this now. And unfortunately, because of people's fear of death and fear of other things, but death is definitely a big one. And you'll notice things always lead to death. If they're worried about finances, you take them down that road. Okay, so why are you worried about finances? Oh, well, because I won't be able to pay my bills. Okay, what if you're once you get to the end, it usually always comes down to a fear of death. But I'm telling you that if you live in the now and you just realize that death is not, we have defined it in a way that is just full of a lot of misconceptions and fear. And I know there's some religious stuff that ties into that, and there's things like that. But what I'm saying is sometimes, like Judy said, like Pam experienced, you have to journey the path in order to really know it. You can read a million books and still not be as well versed as if you walked the path, right? I think you guys can agree with that, right? So experiencing it is going to be your best teacher. So here we come to you who have experienced it to share the message. So just know that this is a very, very beautiful experience, that you were here for a very loving, specific purpose, that you're a powerful being to be here right now, and that your love will conquer all. Live in the moment. If you're not living in the moment, unfortunately, you're not living. Just take note tomorrow. How many times are you in your head worrying, anxiety, thinking about the future, or reminiscing the past, or I should have, could have, would have done that. All those moments in your head, unfortunately, you're not living. You're existing, but you're not living. And that's a shame, because you're here to live. And once you get into the now, the colors will be more vibrant. the experiences will be more exciting. You're going to see so many more blessings. You know, they were always there. You couldn't see them. And you're going to manifest like-minded people. Everything transforms when you bring yourself to the now and when you realize all is well. There's nothing to worry about. All is well. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. So I think that's probably the most I want to share. But so the connection was Jesus, the whole Sunday thing. I can't believe I missed this part. Oh my God. So it was a Sunday that happened. Okay. So that was kind of a big part that I left out. So a few weeks, or I can't remember how many weeks after, but it didn't happen immediately, but I did leave my body on a Sunday. I fell off the deck and left my body. It was a Sunday. And I was like, oh my gosh. But he said, don't worry. He said, you will be fine. All will be well. You will be good. And I think what happened was a transformation within me. The last thing I want to mention, and I hope I'm not going over, I just want to say this last thing. After that experience, another gift is I feel very connected with that world. I feel you always have this angelic presence around you, and it's something that anyone can build up. But I think one of the little added benefits of going through that is it's just more natural to feel that presence around you. I can easily connect to those on the other side. But here's the thing. I can connect to each and every one of you. I know it sounds weird, but I can actually breathe into your body because I went to a place where we were one. So it's easier for me. You guys can do it too. And I teach it. I have classes, but it's more natural for me because I became part of the light for a little bit, that I am able to easily breathe into your energy, see what you're feeling, and give you the guidance, and that's an added benefit. I will say one downfall. Incredibly hard for me to stay grounded. If I don't do my due diligence of grounding to Mother Earth, and I mean like being in the physical, I do tend to float, meaning I go into that beautiful, loving space, but to do sometimes you gotta be, like I'm a little bit on, like it has to be even. So sometimes I gotta realize I'm more human. So it does take me more than I think the typical person to ground to Mother Earth. So I actually do grounding exercises throughout the day. And if I don't, you can totally tell. I mean, sure, Judy talks to me all the time. She could probably tell when I'm not grounded and I'm like floaty. Judy, say it because you know it's true. And I want you to say it. Like, I really do need to ground myself a lot. And I really feel it's because I had that experience. Once you leave your body, you got to really that's my experience. I don't want to put that on, if Pamela had a different experience, but so that's my story. I don't want to go over. Thank you so much for allowing me to tell my story. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everyone.